Public Works and Safety meeting for June 22nd, 2016 at 1:14 p.m. We still do have the quorum present. And the first item for consideration are the meeting minutes, approval for May 25th, 2016. Is there any additions, corrections, or discussion of the minutes?
Make a motion to approve?
Second that. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next thing on the agenda is ordinance or resolution documents, Smith Projects notice of violation, which brings us to action item number 2, Smith Projects letter of appeal.
It doesn't appear that there's anyone here to represent Smith Projects or William Trace, which is the subdivision development that they are working in. On the 16th of May, our inspector found the conditions like this out on the roadway. Pile of stone, pile of sand, various trees. All three of those things are a violation of our stormwater ordinance because of runoff. On the 16th, they were notified that they needed to move the materials as soon as possible. We re-inspected on the 20th, which was the day of the violation. These materials were still on site. So they were given 4 days to move the materials and didn't. Inspector chose to issue a $1,000 fine in accordance with our ordinance. And after many discussions with Smith Projects and the developer, I told them the best course of action is to appeal to the appeals board. They wrote the letter of appeal on, doesn't say which date, but so we've brought this for you to decide on whether or not the...
Do they need to be present in order for us to hear this?
I would assume that they need to be present to justify their case. It's the way we did it in the last one. I would lean on council whether or not we should take action or not. Brian, this is a appeals violation for the erosion control fine that was issued to Smith Projects.
They asked for an appeal,
They asked for an appeal and are not here.
and you gave them notice?
Mm-hmm.
Default them. Just have the record, have the minutes reflect that they were given notice, they failed to appear.
So the fine stands.
Dismiss the appeal.
Are they maintaining in their letter that it wasn't their responsibility?
They are maintaining, at least in the argument, that they were actively trying to clean up the site. If you look in the picture on the 5th day, 4 days after notification, you can see that they are moving trees and the majority of the sand had been cleaned up. The majority of the stone had been cleaned up. Their argument was they were cleaning it up, but they had 4 days prior to that to do it before the deadline was met. So
Looks like they were just using it as they needed it rather than cleaning it up.
that's what it appears.
Two things, Jeremy. Has this situation been resolved? These items are no longer sitting in the street as of today, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And am I remembering correctly that we could fine up to $1,000 a day? Is that
$1,000
correct?
per day, correct. In
And
this case,
it's at
we did-
least 4 days that we know of.
Yeah, yes, correct.
Okay.
My assumption is they were delivered over the weekend at some point, and
I just wanted to make the point that the fine
Yep.
could be far greater than it is.
correct.
currently.
We could have fined them on the day that we found it. We, as we always do, try to work with the developers and contractors to, fix the problem. We gave them 4 days, and they didn't fix it.
Do we need to make a formal motion to dismiss the appeal?
Yes.
I'd like to make that motion.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And Cam, write down there, the motion was to dismiss the appeal for failure to appear.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda, action item number 3, signing authority Westfield Boulevard connector.
Okay, so the Westfield Boulevard Connector project is a federally funded project that extends from the now terminus of Poplar Street at Park Street. You'll notice this is our new Mill Street project that's under construction, just to help you orient yourself. It is a roadway, a new road construction that extends south from Park to David Brown. This will be Westfield Boulevard Connector, which will eventually connect all the way down through 151st Street with the Westfield Boulevard Extension Project. The notice or the request is signing authority to move forward on engineering, contracted services for engineering. Total allotted amount for that is $579,509, or 11% of the estimated construction cost. We don't have a definitive quote yet. We don't foresee it being any higher than that. Right now, they are actively working on preliminary drawings. So
This is 100% federally funded?
right now, it is 80-20.
We're in negotiations.
Okay, well, you start off saying this is a federally
Yeah.
funded
There is
project,
some-
and so I wanted to make sure I
there is some-
understood what your definition
state and
was.
federal money.
Is that 50/50, is that,
As of right now, they have issued us $4.5 million for construction at an 80-20 match. We are negotiating with the state right now.
Okay.
The state's heavily involved, NDOT specifically, because of the access elimination for the Roush parking or car lot. So this
Right.
is one of their ways of fixing the cutting
got it,
off of the
got
access.
it, okay.
So, with that, I would ask that the board grant me the right to sign once we have the engineering contracts in place, and assuming it doesn't exceed this $579,000, we would move forward.
So move.
Second?
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Action item number 3 carries. On to action item number 4, signing authority for the 2016 resurfacing project.
This is also a signing authority for the similar type situation. This project is out to bid now. You'll see that the base bid total is $1.4 million with an additional alternate bid of $964,000. That was intended to cover the option if we are awarded funds for the community crossings grant. So legislation passed this year to relinquish some of our LOIT dollars that the state held in reserves. As a part of that, the NDOT put out a matching program as same part of House Bill 1001 that allows us to apply for up to $1 million of 50-50 match money for resurfacing. So our intention is to do about $2.5 million of resurfacing this year, various spots throughout the city. We broke it apart like this in the event we don't get the full match. We're confident that we're going to get the majority of that because we've got some needs. So just to give you an idea of where it is all going to take place, it is kind of sweeping the entire community, doing various areas. Their scoring system is heavily weighted toward thoroughfare improvements. We are also including some subdivision resurfacing and a few other things. So it's pretty complicated in the bid process, but we are trying to target it to be as successful with the match as we can. So the request would be to again grant me signing authority for $2,427,000, with the understanding that it could reduce from there. These are preliminary engineers' estimates. If they come back higher than that, obviously we'll bring it back. But we intentionally bid this out early before the award so as to get a more competitive bid. And so this is a statewide program, so there'll be a whole lot of calls once they start divvying up the $150 million that the state has set aside for this. So
It's out to bid, right?
it's out to bid
Due July?
July
8th.
July 8th.
Also move to grant your
Second.
Jeremy that authority.
All in favor of action item number 4, signing authority to Jeremy Lawler for the 2016 resurfacing project, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Brings us to action item number 5, condemnation settlement agreement, BPW Target.
This is a portion of our Westfield Boulevard extension project, land acquisition piece for what was formerly known as the West Access Road project. I will turn this over to Phil for the specifics associated with the agreement.
This one's a little complex, so I'm going to go to this. So basically, this is the project we're talking about, Westfield Boulevard Extension. It's the roundabout just west of Target that connects up here to the Westfield Boulevard Bridge that was constructed with the US 31 project. So as part of this project, we had to acquire property from Target, Dayton Hudson. The difficult part was the proximity of this roundabout to the distance between that and the full access approach to Target. Basically, when 31 came through, their full access went from somewhere over here and it got shifted over to here. So with our roundabout design, that created some complexities and some difficulties with Target. So as such, we are going to be constructing a west approach for them to get their trucks out. Their trucks will still come in their normal route, which is right through here. They'll pull up and they'll back in and they'll be able to pull out. Otherwise, basically with the proximity of this roundabout, they weren't able to make this turn safely to get back onto 31. So
Is that will the public be able to use that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
that truck
Yep.
entrance, okay.
Yep.
And then, so to the Y, to the left, sorry, I know this is unrelated to what but I've been,
Yes, as part of this project, this will be the Y, the goofy intersection there that is
Yes.
pretty dangerous. This road will actually come in and tee into 151st and
Okay.
be stop controlled.
okay.
So that'll certainly improve the safety at that intersection.
And what's the timetable for that? Sorry.
Starting, we're going to let the project here in the next couple weeks once we get this agreement finalized. We have one more parcel to work through, but it should be very soon.
Okay.
Hoping to
You
get
want
the
this
construction.
finished by the end of the year? Is that the?
That's the goal.
The house next to Target, that's been taken out, right?
Yes. The house is in place, but we own the
You
property.
own it.
Yep.
Yeah, we purchased the property a year or so ago. We
Okay.
will, after construction, heavy construction is done, we'll have the property legally divided, and then the council can decide if they want to sell the property or how they want to proceed with the vacating of the access right away.
Okay, but the house next to it stays?
The Meyer property is definitely stays, yeah.
I don't know who the Myers are, but okay.
So basically, this condemnation agreement just kind of details all those things out. There's some timelines in there to make sure we're not impacting their holiday season. So, any questions?
Make a motion to approve action item number 5.
Thanks, sir.
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Action item number 5
This is you too.
carries. Action item number 6, Mud on Trail Phase 6 and 7 supplemental agreement.
Philip? Alright, this one, a lot of this happened before my time here, but basically, Monon, I'm gonna pull up the map again, it's easier to explain visually. Monon Trail Phase 6 was originally contemplated from State Road 32 all the way up through to Monon Trail Elementary. As part of that project, we decided to eliminate a piece of it from State Road 32 to 181st and instead construct along 181st. There were some other things that were kind of mixed around in the design. I think there was some lighting added. There was additional utility coordination. There was, pull this thing out. That's highlighted down here. Some legal description revisions. Some watershed, some drainage stuff, but basically just a supplemental for roughly, what was it, $120,000. And this, keep in mind, this project was federally funded, so we had 80-20 match even on design. So the original design was $850,000, and that actually includes everything from State Road 32 all the way up to 216th. Is that right? Up to 216th. So
this is an increase in the engineering.
correct.
Yeah, it's an increase in the cost of the engineering based on some changes that happened over the course of the last 2 or 3 years as plans changed and needs changed. So the 120,000 will get us through the remainder of the contract. It's a supplement to the original agreement.
So it's an additional 120, that's what we're talking about,
Yep.
right?
Move to accept.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of, motion's been made and seconded to approve action item number 6, Mountain Trail Phase 6 and 7 Supplemental Agreement number 1. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Action item number 7, Road Impact Fee Agreement.
This is a proposed road impact fee agreement between obviously the city as well as Timberstone Development and Langston Development. This is another one that dates back several years. And to give you a little background on it, kind of get down to the pictures. So these are developments between, if you're familiar with the Lakes of Westfield, that's on Grassy Branch, extends all the way over to Shady Nook. The other development is just south of that with access off of Shady Nook. So originally, Langston Development owned both parcels, both of these large pieces when they came through and their PUD was established. Langston essentially bought this piece to ensure that what was adjacent to there, to make sure that the adjacent community was not discounting the value of their homes. They never intended to develop it. So before or after they came through with their development plan, as they were coming through the process, they sold off this southern piece. And for fire safety purposes as well as continuity through the city has asked them to connect these subdivisions with a through road. So that's where the development agreement comes in. We will be crediting them impact fees in the total of $55,000 for Sheffield Park, as well as $66,000 for Lakes of Westfield to construct this through movement.
And why did we want them to do that? The city asked them to do this because,
We need 2 access points for fire safety, as well as this roadway will eventually continue on as part of our master plan and potentially tie in on the other side of town as things continue to develop. Again, I don't know a whole lot of history behind it, other than what I've been told from Mr. Skelton and ECD. This wasn't contemplated originally as it was 2 separate developments in the PUD, so.
right, but the development only has one access road.
Correct.
It was an
Yes.
approved PUD with one access road, and
Yeah.
that's the reason it's coming to you guys. Typically,
So did we change our standards?
we require, our requirements are a lot more stringent now. This is a standard requirement in any new zoning.
Yeah. When this was approved or when it came through the original zoning process, it was not required. So this would have only had one access point for fire and medical purposes, as well as police, I suppose. This creates a second access point into the subdivision, and then also allows the traffic to really go both directions, so that way it's not isolated to one exit. So essentially, the road impact fee agreement is allowing the developers to recapture their costs as they build lots. The road impact fees go back to them until they've regained their exposure as far as what is totaled at $112,000. Not to exceed the impact fees generated by their developments.
what would be the estimate for the fees in both those developments? Do you have any idea?
Do you know how many lots? It's $2,550 per lot times, my guess is there's 300.
The fees will far exceed.
Yeah, the fees will be well over, so we will still capture road impact fees once we've met this. This is very similar to many agreements that we do on a regular basis. It's a little different. Typically, they're done with more commercial type developments, but we did the same type of thing on Shady Nook with Andover North last year about this time. We reconstructed this north of this boundary all the way up to 191st Street in a road impact fee agreement as well.
They all move to accept this.
And I'm happy to answer any other questions you might have.
I'll second. Motion has been made and seconded to accept the action item number 7 road impact fee agreement, Lakes of Westfield and Sheffield Park. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the consent agenda, the June bond information. Does anyone need any explanation on that?
We have the action item number 8.
Oh.
Yeah, I was gonna
Graham
say
Pass
missed one.
design, yeah.
I missed that because
She added it, I think.
okay, I missed that. Okay, action item number 8.
Action item number 8 is signing authority for the approval of design services for Greyhound Pass in the Village Park Plaza area. This was originally contemplated as an MPO project called the Greyhound Pass Modernization, which encompassed a dog bone roundabout here, as well as
Jeremy, where are you?
this is Marsh. This is Starbucks right
On the
here.
east side of Greyhound, east
Yeah.
of 31.
This is the new Cool Creek Park Road.
I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. I thought that, I was
And
thinking
then
Walmart
146th
is what I was
Street.
thinking when I saw Cool
Yep.
Creek. It's not Walmart. Okay, thank
Yeah,
you,
so
sorry.
the other side.
Yep. Gotcha.
So right now there are 3 lights stacked here, 3 signals, 1, 2, and 3 here. This signal creates a significant amount of traffic through here, which is a pedestrian issue. There's a lot of pedestrian activity actually on both sides. We were not able to get support from Simon and or other parties that are affected, the county largely, to fund the larger scale project. We are, however, comfortable that Simon would support a moving of the signal to down here and then making these accesses right in, right out to eliminate some pedestrian issues. Essentially, you'll be pushing all this traffic out to Thatcher and they'll hit the light there. So what we're doing now, or what we're asking for, is your blessing to give me authority to move forward with design services to get that done, totaling $66,750. The original project we were proposing out there was about $4 million. This will be obviously substantially less than that.
That was essentially the roundabout in the middle of all that and not one
Yeah.
under the other.
Yep, the roundabout, it was removing of all 3 signals. Retail businesses don't like that. They want people to sit and look at their storefronts and decide to walk in. So we were going to have a battle with Simon to acquire right of way. And as that plan progressed, there was a shortfall of about $3.5 million. We went back to the MPO to get additional funding. We could not get support from the other members of the board, the other communities. We exhausted every avenue we had to have some funding help. We just don't have the budget to cover that additional cost right now. So this is
Can you go back to the photo because the light at the bottom or the west end there, how close is that to 31? That's pretty close.
so right here is your exit to 31,
That's a
which
CD.
That's CD lane, yeah.
Yeah, 31's actually farther south.
right. So here's US 31.
I'm sorry, yeah, I know what I mean, but I
Yeah.
mean the access into
Yeah,
that
I knew what you meant.
shopping,
as well.
yeah, that's what I was
This is
looking
the-
for.
The entrance.
So if you're
into-
coming down off 146 and you're coming around, you're not gonna get back on 31 and head north, that's the lane that turns in.
So you would, so if you're,
If you're coming from 146, you can
Yeah.
come right down this road, you hit this light.
and then you
Is that
turn
gonna-
left to go to Marsh.
Turn
And there's
left
a
to go to
turn
Marsh.
lane
Correct.
there, correct?
So
Because there's
turn
no
left.
access further up where there's
Correct.
access now. That's
Correct.
what you're saying, okay,
Correct.
got it,
That's what we're trying to
right,
eliminate.
I get it, yeah, okay,
That's certainly a safer option than what exists today, which is terrible.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the roundabout in the middle would have been optimal, but $3.5 million short's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So that
Well-
certainly is a safety improvement upon what currently exists.
Definitely, and I also think it'll help mitigate some congestion because it's going to spread this out a little bit so you don't have so much stacking.
And indirectly, it's gonna help Cool Creek, what is that road? Cool Creek Park Road as well, because you're providing more spacing there between the two signals.
Are both sides owned by Simon, that both sides of that
They
are?
are, yeah.
Marsh owns the beach.
Marsh owns this one piece that extends to the boundary.
And were they in
of their
favor of the roundabout or no?
property. Marsh? No.
They were not either.
Did you ever talk to him? I don't think.
Yeah, they weren't totally against it.
They weren't against it, but Simon. The right-of-way acquiring was going to be back here along this piece,
Way too expensive.
It was a pretty complex project.
What it is.
and it would have been.
This is good.
And from a construction standpoint, this is going to be far less invasive than what the larger project would have been.
Certainly safer.
So with that, I would ask that the board approve signing authority for me to execute these contracts
to
once we
approve.
get.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded to approve action item number 8. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now onto the consent agenda.
You may.
Do you, would you like to review that, or should we, can we have a vote?
Move to accept.
Second?
All in favor, I had a motion to approve and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Last thing left is the Public Works report, department report.
We are heavy into our summer activities. Street maintenance is focused primarily on crack seal efforts. At this point, we still have a pothole crew out as needed to address the random potholes throughout the city. We try to divide our staff, so we'd have a crack seal crew, and then the others are focusing largely on shoulder maintenance. These efforts this coupled with our signage efforts and mowing, right-of-way mowing efforts, will continue throughout the summer. That's our primary focus during the summer months. From a parks maintenance perspective, we just had a significant upgrade project to the control system associated with the splash park. That is complete. We're finalizing a couple small mechanical problems right now, but it is operational. Also, you'll see roundabout landscaping going on throughout the city, three different locations. It started initially, the big delay was getting in irrigation as well as the lighting components. So those are mostly done, and we'll be wrapping those up in the next month or so. And then the Simon Moon restroom is substantially complete, finally. So
The doors lock.
the doors lock. The doors will be replaced as our new ones come in, but they are currently functioning. As well as everything else, we have the landscaping done, and then I have a project closeout meeting with the builder tomorrow, and hopefully we'll wrap up the loose ends there. So, otherwise, we've talked about most of these other projects. In particular, Mill Street, if you haven't noticed, is very well underway. There's a giant hole there where they poured footers for what will be our bridge, our culvert crossing, which has some pedestrian components to it. And that will continue throughout the summer, hopefully wrapping up later on this year. Westfield Boulevard extension, that's the one with the Target agreement that we spoke of. Hoping to start and finish, or at least get open to traffic this year. And the Midland Section 4, which is Midland from Gunther to Gray, is an active construction project which will wrap up in the coming months. With that, I'd answer any specific questions you have and anything you have.
Kate?
My name is misspelled.
By whom?
Right, keep go, right there.
No, see.
Angela, will you fix that?
I don't really care.
I'll fix
I just
it.
wanted
We'll
to
just
point
say
it out.
that's somebody's fault.
I know.
Carol.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Mr. Mayor, anything else? Motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, yes, second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
at 1:45 PM.